Hi, everybody. Welcome to Trader Minute. Jimmy had a good question here. I brought up Hewlett Packard, and let's zoom in on that. Oops. All right, now this would be a couple things. When I'm about this time of day, I'm going out and starting to look for my top three. I look for about an hour and a half or so, finding some, and I came across this. It's a good looking signal right now. It's early, right? We want those signals. I give this about with an hour left to the close. I like them pretty close to the close. It it puts more odds in the favor of its closing uh, towards the highs of the day when I give those top three, and I'll mention that when I give the top three most times. But so this would, in looking at this, not only is it'd be a vibe bull signal. Got the indicators rising. MACD's kind of sideways here for the last month or so, but indicators rising. You got all the averages rising as well, so this would be a bullish setup. And then also, I always try to throw something extra into those, rather than whether it's a candle pattern, maybe it's a chart pattern. Those aren't too often you see those with them, but they can be. There was one on Qualcomm yesterday. I'm not Qualcomm, sorry. It was Priceline on the TrendRider bear signal. I try to throw multiple signals onto that, and the one I'm seeing here is called a three methods rising. It's not a picture perfect uh, three methods rising, but a three method rising. I can kind of draw this out for you. It looks like like this. So you get what's called a Marubozu candle. So this doesn't really have one. Right here is the candle that I'm looking at. It doesn't really have one, but the pattern is still there. Okay? And then you get some days where have some minor consolidation. It might go down, it might go sideways. The consolidation, it varies. It can go down a little bit, and this is actually it's gone down 4 days, and there can be I've seen them where it goes down two. I've seen 5 6 days sometimes. It's all a variation. The pattern itself would recommend 3 days of slight consolidation down. You can see this drop down like that, and then the confirming candlestick would be this candlestick. And on this one, it would be a break. For that pattern to confirm, it would be a break of the high of the opening candlestick in the pattern. And that's about where we're at. If this close up here towards the highs, remember the high is not that up here. That's a filled candlestick, so the bottom is the close on that. The high is that first candle right over here, and it's slightly above it. Again, it's not a perfect three methods rising candle because you'd like to see a Marubozu very similar to this, but that's how that little pattern is confirmed, is a break above the opening candle's high, that first Marubozu candle. That's what a three methods rising. There's also a three methods falling, and you'll see those in downtrends. There's a little bit of a variation of a three methods. I don't see a lot of them here on Hewlett Packard. I did see one earlier. Oh, right over here. Let me circle this for you. Right through here. You can see you got the opening candlestick would be considered this one, and then it drops down. Again, this drops down for another 4 days, but you want about, that's actually 5 days. But then this candle over here confirms it where it closing above the opening candles right there, just slightly above it. And you can see it shot up the next day. They're fairly accurate. You'll find these on trending stocks and uptrends, downtrends, and that's also where we find the vibe entrances as well. Okay. Oh, gotcha, Vegas. All right. So that's a quick little training on that little bit of a candlestick pattern there. Another one I'm seeing here is this. This would be, there's a lot of different names for this. It's very close to a gravestone doji. You could call this a falling star as well. And whenever I see those, this is just a one candle pattern. This is a multiple candle pattern, the three methods rising and falling, the multiple candles, but this is a one, fairly accurate. You got to look at it stock for stock and see, all right, well, you got to find them in the right position, and some stocks will react to them. A lot of ETFs don't really react to a lot of patterns of any kind, but This is called a gravestone doji, a really nice one right here, right there. And it just looks upside down capital T. And you want to find these at the bit of a run. See, I look over here and say, well, there's one right there, and it didn't go anywhere, but that's not in the position where it's going to be very accurate. The position where it's going to be most accurate is at towards a top, all right, or towards a bottom. Typically, you'll find gravestones at a top, but towards a bottom, you can find them as well. It's still saying reversal. Okay, but if you find them in an area where it's just kind of going sideways, it's not going to. It's really not telling you a whole lot. But towards the top, like we've seen here, it's called those little tops here. The one we've seen these very close to it, and there's another one very similar to it over here. It's called a dragonfly. Another, it's just the opposite of a gravestone. It looks like a capital T. And the best place to find those is near a bottom. Again, they can reverse. You can find gravestones down here at the bottom. It's still suggesting reversal. And you can find dragonflies at the top. It's still suggesting reversal. But whenever you see them, always look back in the history and see if it's called them, if it's been pretty accurate on the stock. Because again, some stocks it's not very accurate, and others they're quite accurate. So any type of a candle pattern or anything like that, I always look back at the history of the stock. I don't go back too far. I mean, our 7 months that we're looking at here, just laughing at the chats. Any type of a candle pattern, chart pattern, always look back and just see has it happened before? How did the stock react last time? Past not a guarantee of future results, but it's going to give you a pretty good idea of what it's likely to do, and what it's doing is putting more odds in your favor. Yeah, good question, RG. Let's go over to the S&P. So well off the lows. It rolled over a while back when I was on, and took a lot of stocks, rolled over right with it. This is pretty unusual price action for the first trading day of the year. And Jeff talked about this yesterday. 2008, we saw that. I know my wife's starting to get into this. I mean, I've been trading now for 15 years, and now I guess she was watching. She likes to watch Good Morning America, I guess, and well, she does. And she said, "Oh yeah, Good Morning America. They were saying that at the first day of the year in January, that sets the tune for the whole month." Or there's the January effect, and she just said, well, and then they also said if the month of January will is likely the stocks are gonna if the market's up during the month of January, then it's likely to be up for the year, or down in January like to be down for the year, and it's only been wrong 8 times. It's the old January effect. You're going to start hearing about that. You're welcome, Jimmy. You're going to start hearing about the January effect, and I don't give a lot of heed to those. There's a lot of those different types of effects and things that if this does that, it's likely to do this for the year and so on. Basically, the January effect, as my wife stated, if the market's down during the month of January, then it's likely to be down at the end of the year, not all year, but at the end of the year. And then if it's up in January, like to be up. It's been wrong 8 times. But for us, I mean, we're just looking at technical signals, and we're going to be trading it that way. So. That's right, newbie. Yeah, and let's JRJC. Go check that out, Armin. Okay, so this stock, look at the volume pouring into this. Big time volume. Right around, it's like probably around the 26th since that was closed. There's maybe some news came out. Something came out here. The volume just shot up, huge, enormous volume. Went from almost no volume up towards the millions now. Probably some kind of news out there, China Finance online. At this point, if I'm not in a trade, I'm going to watch it and let it consolidate. It's jumped up here really fast. I mean, this stock's gone from $4 to 7. What in a matter of a week and a half or so, almost doubled. That's a huge move. At this point, it's overextended. It's quite a ways off from the 7. There's likely to be some consolidation in here. I would watch it as it and let that 7 catch up with it for to trade this again. If I'm not in the trade, if I'm in it, it's hitting 7. It went shot right through 6. Depending on the news, and look at the volume today. It's astronomical volume. It's showing a lot of strength, but there's going to be some profit taken. Might give you another opportunity to get in if you're not in it, but pretty strong move on that. Let me go. Oh, good for you, Armin. It looks strong, and the volume's so heavy like that that it's usually gonna keep going, but it's not. It doesn't mean it's just gonna go in all in one shot. But that strong of volume, it usually keeps going. What I'm looking for, this is one of the stocks out there I know I'm going to find a downtrend in. And I'm just looking for a three methods falling pattern. But when this thing falls, it just tanks. It's not giving any type of a pattern on it. Here's one of the other ones I know I can find a downtrend. This one's, I don't know how it did during the holidays, but it's holding its own lately. So we'll see. But this is another one, man. It just when it falls, it just the bottom dropped out underneath it. Not really any patterns given that up. Yeah, I mean, there's a variation of three methods rising over here, but I don't see any on the falling side. But not that one. FAZ is the other one I know is in a downtrend. No, it's not really too many three methods falling. Anyways, all right. So with the S&P, holds right here. It's in an interesting spot. And if you traded during 2013, you know that the expected corrections never really materialized. You had some small ones, and they never really got to what most people would think would be a full blown correction. One of the bigger ones was here in June and July, but other than that, they were pretty mild corrections. And really, we haven't seen anything that I would consider any really type of a correction since October. I mean, a small one here in September, but nice run up. If the market starts breaking down, for me, it breaking down below 1820, it's going to catch my attention to maybe some more bearish downside, but it's got to start proving to me it's going to start to drop before I get too bearish. The only time I'll go bearish if I got some really good bearish signals, and I might trade against it. But right now, as far as the S&P, there's no bearish signals out there. I had a big day yesterday, which was a lot of people were surprised by the move that the market saw yesterday. But today it's really just holding its own. It's dropped some. It's coming back. We'll see where it goes at the close. Now, if it sells off into the close, it's a different story. If you get a big sell into the close today, then yeah, it's likely to see some more downside. But right now, it's just kind of holding its own. Came back off the lows. So it's just kind of sitting there. All right, well, let's check out the positions real fast. With Boeing up 84 cents, it's still right around that range we've been in. It's been up 70, up $1.30 around that range. It's just hovering right there. I'd love to see this close towards the highs. And then Qualcomm, and I got on and talked about this a little while ago, and I don't know if some of you stepped out, but I talked about this, and I'd been talking with Jeff about the trade as well. And what we're looking for here on the hourly, it's in a pretty oversold position on the hourly. It's been going sideways here for the last little while. We're looking for a short-term bounce. At this point, the delta in the option is quite low. So even if it drops, another 30 plus cents, it's not going to affect our option values a whole lot at this point. Okay, so that's what we're watching. We'll make a decision on this into the close tonight is what we're going to do, and I'm in touch with Jeff on that as well. All right. Hey, Jill, go take a look at that. Bank of America. Yeah, look at that. Now, when they get completely outside the bands, it doesn't mean it's going to roll over, but it just increases the odds of some little bit of a consolidation a bit more. But look at those strong volumes. The strong volumes is what keeps pushing these stocks and holding the higher levels, pushes them through resistance, holds those levels. It's got some good news around it right now. It's just flying. It could go for a while. But there's likely to be some consolidation. It's so far from the seven. Likely to be some little bit of consolidation. Most likely it would be bullish consolidation, maybe for a day or two, slightly down, if not sideways. Let that seven catch up with it, and it's likely going to keep running though. Yeah, thanks, Jill. All right, let's glance through yesterday's top three while I'm here. Then I'm going to go back out. Dollar General, it's up 41 cents. And then this has been down most of the morning. It's come back. It's well off the lows, down just 78 cents now. It's down over a dollar a little while ago, coming off the lows like that. Had a really strong signal yesterday. This was a vibe bull signal. All the average is rising. You can see the big strong move yesterday on volume, which puts a little bit more odds in the favor. But yeah, I'm just holding up in this level. I'd be fine here. If it can close around here, close below the seven, then get out. That was the stop. Close it below the seven, but if as long as it stays above it, give it a chance to work for you and let it go. And then the last one was Priceline from yesterday. It's about right where it was last time we looked at this, down about $4.50 or so. Um, it's right there on the 50. This one was a trend rider. And it's still in that lower band. This would be one just to watch and stay in the trade if you're in it. Stay until it closes back inside that lower band. Jake, you bring up a good question there on Boeing. Jeff talked about this a little bit yesterday. He let me ease into things yesterday. You saw me on the top three, but he was letting me immerse myself back into to everything like that yesterday. And what he talked about, he's been doing a lot of research on it. I'm just coming back, so he's been doing all the research on it. He thinks it's going to be more of a he thinks that no, almost regardless of the outcome, he thinks it's not going to be a sell. It's going to be more of a oh good, that glad that's gone type of a thing, and the stock will respond positively to the upside. Uh, if they happen to move that off, and Jill, you're the one that knows about it. I'm just coming back. But the vote is pretty important. If they happen to move the okay, hang on a sec, Mike. If they move it, they look at that as a good thing for Boeing, but a bad thing for the local economy, the local economy there. So he looked at this, and anyways, from what his research that he looked into, he thinks it's more likely to respond positively than negatively, really, regardless of the vote. And he's planning on holding it through for those reasons. All right, and I'm sorry, I just that's what I remember from yesterday. It's on the one of the recordings from yesterday when Jeff was talking about Boeing and what was going on. And I believe Jill is the one that lives up in that area and knows what's going on as far as word around town and stuff like that and what's going on. But he thinks that really it's a good thing for the company to just get the vote out of the way. And regardless of the vote, he still sees that as a positive. And voting ends tonight after the market is closed. All right. Apple has been pretty heavily talked about here. It dropped a few dollars pretty quick, and it's still trading down here towards the lows. And entering in the lower Bollinger Band. At this point, it's pretty in the near term. If you look at this on an hourly, yeah, it's starting to hold up a little bit, kind of like we were doing. We were looking at with Qualcomm. The hourly is overextended. It's just kind of flat here the last little while. Let's see, where are we? Okay, we're just 15 minutes after the hour, so but it's getting a little bit overextended, so you could expect a little bit of a near-term bounce. I know Jeff was interested in Apple uh, playing the upside here when it starts to show a little bit of signs of life. Okay. Bank of America. If you think of entering here, I wouldn't enter here in Bank of America. It's just too overextended. The reason is so far from the seven. What I would do is wait for a little bit of consolidation. And what I'd look for is, it's similar, is just for some days where it kind of goes sideways, maybe down a little bit. Just some days like this, and let that seven catch up with it. So if I, draw that seven, uh, let it catch up to it a little bit, and then if you get a bounce back up through the seven, something like that, now your risk and reward, your risk is going to be much less than buying clear out here. It might, who knows? You buy today, Monday, there might be some profit taken. It drops down here to 1625, maybe mid six, I don't know, around that range. And you could have found a better entrance if you were just a little bit more patient. So that's what I would do here. I wouldn't enter right now. If you did enter now, what you'd do, it'd be a high risk trade. Just invest less, just put less money into the trade, and then just hope it keeps going for you. That's what you do in a situation like this. But if you want to be a little bit more conservative and maybe put a little bit more into the trade and wait for a little bit better signal than right here. But in the trade, man, it still looks strong. But see what I mean? It's probably going to keep going, Mike. I still think it's probably going up towards 17.50, $18, maybe not all in one shot. Now, if you do wait, okay, as I was stating here, but do wait for the type of entrance, then there's a good possibility, and this is what I'd be waiting for. This is a good example, right? Where you get one big surge, and then it kind of goes sideways for a little while, and then it comes, and the seven catches up, and then you get that move off the seven. That's what I'd wait for. But is that going to happen again? I don't know. It'd be nice if it did. But if you wait, sometimes it gets away from you. It just takes off, and you miss the trade. And that's one of the drawbacks if you're a little bit patient, waiting for the right entrances. Some of them just get away from you, and you can't catch them, and they're gone. So that would be the of waiting. That would be the one thing that might happen. It just might take off, and you don't get in. Yeah, Bank of America earnings on the 15th, so I don't think I'd hold through earnings. Usually, a few days before earnings, the stock can start to act a little bit differently as people are positioning based on what they feel the outcome might be. Yeah, I mean, if you had a nice gain here and you're still holding it come the 15th, you might take a portion of the gain and let it ride. See what happens on earnings. One thing to keep in mind, if this stock does push up another dollar, $1.50 or so, and then it hits earnings on a huge move already, if they have a good earnings announcement, how much further is it going to go after a huge run like that? So that's another thing to take into consideration too. If it already made a huge push and then they come out with good earnings, is that already taken into it? Is it already in the trade at that time? Is that already priced in, or is it going to skyrocket from there? I mean, so there's a little things to think of before the earnings announcement and the move that's taking place right now. All right, and I know that a while ago there was Apple, right? Let's look at Apple. Apple made this huge run. No, this isn't what I was thinking of. I was thinking around earnings, but this wasn't. This one right here on Apple was based on the China Mobile deal. Rumors start coming, hey, they might get a deal with China Mobile, and there it went. And when the deal actually came out, it didn't really do anything. Well, when it got close to coming out, it really didn't do anything because hey, it was already priced in. And the deal was announced, and you get this huge gap up over in this range. And again, was already priced in. It could have been because it already had that huge run based on the rumors, right? The old buy on the rumors, sell on the news thing. Looks like here for Apple, but I still think that, just this is just going to be a shorter term pullback for Apple, but you got to find a little bit of a bottom right now and see where this is, where it's going to look to run from there. Because down here at 540, geez, getting pretty appetizing here. It's coming into the lower Bollinger Band, and to have it run back up towards these higher levels right here, not out of the question, but it's going to take some doing. Just got to watch and wait for that right moment to come through. Okay. All right. Well, I'll be on chat with you. If you have any questions or anything else you want to talk about, then let me know, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye bye.